Hey, this is Troy Erickson with copywriting.org, and today's exciting interview is a little bit different than normal because most of the time we talk about how you can get copywriting clients and get good results for them. But today we're going to be talking about how business owners can use copywriting to get results for their business, whether you've had a business for a while or you have a job and you're like, gosh, I really want to start my business, but like, how do I actually get people in the door? All without leaving my home, right? So we're going to talk about how you can write copy at home, put it online, get customers, and just build a really fulfilling business. And to help me do that today, I have Amanda Kaufman, who's the founder of the Coaches Plaza. We originally met at Clients and Community. She spoke on stage there. She's also spoke on a stage by Dean Graziosi's event. And I think it's going to be really fun to switch it up today and talk about, copywriting for your own business. So, Amanda, welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. A little bit more about how you got into copywriting because it seems like you absolutely love it.
I adore copy. So copywriting to me was my gateway into entrepreneurship. I started as a corporate employee, and when I used to write emails, it was very much as per my last email, it was terrible and it didn't really get a message across very well. But I had a chance to join some membership communities and masterminds where I learned the power of direct response copy from some really amazing copywriters. And I saw, like, oh, I can connect with people in a totally different way using this old medium that I was used to kind of avoiding, the inbox. And it was honestly my gateway into being able to move into entrepreneurship out of employment, and making money online.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's cool to see too how you're helping a lot of people move from the corporate world into their own business. And it's like that's the exact path that you went down. So like what were you doing at that time?
Well, when I was working in corporate America, I was a strategy consultant. So I had expertise, I had things that I could offer, and I was already doing coaching, so I had a lot of genius to offer, but I was having a hard time telling people, like, how exactly can I help you? And I think one of the biggest things that a lot of business owners run into, especially when you're starting out and you're an expert based business, is your network can sometimes be confined. So in my case, I had a network that was, you ever see that movie, like the Truman Show with Jim Carrey, and he's kind of
Oh
stuck in
yeah.
this bubble, right? And so I needed a way to expand my network, and I wanted to expand it really quickly. I wanted to grow how many people I knew rapidly, and I wanted to get out of that Truman Show bubble of everybody I knew in my corporate America surroundings, because I really didn't want to sell to my coworkers, definitely didn't want to sell to my family and friends, and I needed a way to let it be known how I can help, what I can sell, what I've got to offer. And I was and am, I've been a consultant for my entire career. I just wanted to do it as an entrepreneur. I didn't want to do it as an employee.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Did you have a specific moment where you're like, "Oh my gosh, I just started my business. This is scary, but here's my plan. Here's what I'm going to do."
Oh my, a few moments, but in particular, when I was pregnant with our fourth kid. So I've got four kiddos at home.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a, it's a zoo around here. But when I was pregnant with my fourth kid, I felt like a lot of pressure to just figure this out already, because I just felt like I really didn't want to go back to the old lifestyle that I had with the employment situation. I mean, the job involved being on the road, flying 46 weeks a year, Monday through Friday, and away from home. And, I don't mind working. I'm very much a working mom, but I wanted to have the flexibility to work with who I wanted to, where I wanted to, and when I wanted to. And, in today's day and age, you really, really can do that if you have the skill and if you have the ability to find people who are okay with working with you on those terms. And that's really, like, what the demand was. Is like I had to figure out how to connect with those people. And that's why I was so fortunate to have joined the communities that I had, that I met such world-class people. I met a world-class copywriter, Mara Glazer, and she taught me how to connect really authentically with people through written word and email. And when I started to do that and stop being so stilted in how I was writing, I was able to start really not just building a list, treating it kind of like this data activity that I used to look at things at work, through spreadsheets and numbers. That stuff's important, but really when people are looking to purchase, it is relational. It's about building relationships. And I was able to do that by learning how to communicate in a different way through copywriting. And I think it was just like the urgency of wanting to make the change, and then also meeting the right people that were teaching the right kinds of skills coming together. And, it made the magic. I was able to make the change. And what was really cool is because I learned the skill myself, I was able to then earn the income to turn around and hire copywriters to then write for me, right? So it's not like you have to do the work for yourself forever as a business owner, but I kind of love the idea of knowing the skill yourself, that you can own your message, that when you do hire someone else, you can have a lot of confidence in the work that they do for you because you know what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the idea of trying something yourself, kind of getting the hang of it, and then hiring. Because a lot of people they hire, something when they don't even understand it. And it's like, how do you know if it's going well or not if you don't understand it? But um,
Exactly.
I think a lot of what you said is really relatable too for a lot of people. Today's day and age, like everybody would like to work from home and would like to have their own schedule and freedom, and maybe they have a family and lots of responsibilities. So if they're starting down that path and like, okay, I have a skill in something, I want to coach this thing, what do they do next?
Well, it starts with a decision. Like you really do have to, I know that sounds kind of trite, but it's true. Like you really do have to make and defend that decision. Because the second you make that decision, there's going to be naysayers in your own mind. And then there's going to be naysayers around you that are going to say, that's not going to work. And they're going to give you all this evidence of all the people who have tried before you that have failed, and all the reasons why it's not going to work out. So you've got to make a decision that you're going to keep going and figure it out yourself. You're going to have a lot of failure along the way. You're going to have a lot of trial and error along the way. And I know what really helped me was looking for the mentors that were a great match for me. Like that was huge, because even though I was failing and making mistakes and everything like that, because I had support and because I had made the decision in my heart, I will figure this out, that was huge. So, like, the number one thing is you've just got to make the decision that you will succeed and you're not going to quit, even when you hear doubters and even when you feel self doubt, you're going to do the work to honor your decision, right? So, that's like the number one thing. The second thing, with that decision, you need to decide to build the skill, right? Copywriting is a skill. And so with skill means you need to have curriculum, you have to learn. It means you probably need to have feedback. So that's where mentorship is so super important. I think there's a lot of people that, for example, ChatGPT right now, they're just like slamming things into a robot and they're like, good enough. But like, is it? Do you know if it's good? Right? How do you know it's good? The only reason why I know what is good and what is not good is because of the training that I've had to know what to look for whether something is ultimately performing well. And you might be really surprised to find out that what you think is like creatively awesome may not be actually performing well, for example. So, that mentorship piece of it is incredibly important. And I'd say the third thing is be both impatient and patient. So I think sometimes people give themselves too much runway to get good at something, and they don't push themselves to perform. So they don't push themselves to achieve, but at the same time you need to take the time to get good.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that. One of my first mentors, Greg, he said, as an entrepreneur, like you have to have your head screwed on straight, but at the same time, you have to be delusional because there's these two balancing acts of like logic and not listening to all the people who are saying, well, look at the stats of everybody else who fails. So I think that's a really good balance. Now, as far as like setting up the business and like, yeah, somebody's like, okay, I believe in myself. And I'm at the point where I really want to start taking like strategic action. What are some of the first things that you would have them set up? Maybe like a funnel or an email list, or what does that process look like?
Yeah, I mean, if you're ready to go on your own, then, you definitely need to have, of course, your business set up formally with your LLCs and all of that kind of stuff, because the actual first step is be able to accept money. I think a lot of times people start with the tech and they think like I've got to build funnels and websites and all this kind of stuff. It's like, actually, you need to be able to legally accept money. And, the way I kind of imagine it is, imagine you're just walking, down the street, or you're in the parking lot and someone says, I want to buy your thingy. Like you really want to be able to accept that money right away and have all of that set up first. So that's the true first step. And then you want to make sure that you have an offer that's really clear, that how you're going to package up what it is that you're going to deliver on, because the number one thing is keep your promises to your clients. Right. So, I don't think that gets talked about enough, really,
Right, you're right.
especially in online marketing world. It's all like sell, sell, sell. And I'm like, actually, what you're doing is you're saying promise, promise, promise. So you really want to make sure you're keeping that promise and you're clear about the promise that you're making. So that's what I would say. Then, now that you know what you're promising, now you can sing it from the rooftops. So you can put that on websites, you can put that on a funnel. So a funnel is just a very simple website that has one thing and one thing only to do on that page. So, we marketers like to complicate absolutely everything. And what I love to do at the Coaches Plaza is, and that's my community where I do a lot of teaching, is I like to dumb it down and keep it as simple as possible. Right. So just a page with one thing and one thing only to do. And one of the things that helps your people, your future people, trust you the most is make the next step congruent to the last step, and make the next step the right size. So don't make the landing page or the funnel step that you're asking them to take like, hi, nice to meet you, buy my $10,000 program. Right? It might be, hi, I want to help you with this problem. And here's the whole thing to fix it, and make it believable, but also really awesome, and make it really easy for them to get it. Right. And then keep the promise. And you kind of think of it like you're just threading this beautiful thread of keeping promise after promise after promise after promise. And when you do that, you can escalate the promises you make and the promises you keep. And the more you do that, the more you're going to earn trust. And then basically, the better you are at doing that and the more trust you earn, the more you can offer, and the more that people will accept from you, and the more you're going to make as a business owner.
Yeah, 100%. Now, if somebody's starting out and they want to obviously start coaching, they do all those things. I think the most important thing you mentioned there is promises, right? And obviously, fulfilling on your promises is one thing, but I always like to say if it's not clear to you, it's not going to be clear to somebody else. So, what
True.
are some things that people can get clear on with their own offer? Like, what exactly should they offer? Is it like one on one? Is it a group setting? What should they start out with?
Oh, that's such an amazing question, because people get really hung up on the modality or the method of how they deliver on the promise, but that's not really the promise that is going to matter to the person who's, scrolling through their social feed or checking their inbox and their email. You got to remember that most people are tuned into their favorite radio station, which is WIIFM, which is what's in it for me, right? That's their favorite radio station of all time. So they're not thinking, should I be in Troy's group program or should I be in Troy's private program? Because that's very much a Troy concern, right? And I'm not saying you shouldn't take care of yourself. You should decide, like, do you prefer personally to be a private coach, or do you prefer personally to be a group coach? That's a valid question. But from a being successful as a business owner standpoint, a more important question would be, for your reader, what is the thing that's keeping them up at night? What is causing them to feel distracted from life that they feel like they have to scroll social media in the first place? Like, let's be real. Most people, when they're scrolling social, it's because they're feeling uncomfortable with a situation in their life. Maybe it's they want to lose weight. Maybe it's they're unhappy in their job. Maybe it's they're unhappy in a relationship situation, or they're sick of fighting with their teenager. Like, there's real problems, dilemmas, and challenges. And I like to use something I call the ABCD test. What is it that your person wants to achieve, become, create, or do? That's where a coach is like so great, because a coach can help somebody achieve, become, create, or do something faster or with greater confidence. And now you've got a great offer. Now, whether you help that person do it faster in a group of people, or you help that person do it faster because you help them one-on-one, that's really up to you. But I think the thing that really, really helps is get clear on what is it that you're actually helping them to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Honestly, I've never heard anybody phrase it that way, that people are on their phones to avoid something.
Yeah.
But that's even so true, because sometimes I have a bad habit of like scrolling my phone in the morning. And the truth is, it's like, oh my gosh, I got to get ready and I got to go downstairs and do this, this, and this. And it's like you're procrastinating from it. And
Right. Like, if you
that's
were
well
charged up
said.
and fully engaged with your life, like, you'd be like, forget the phone, man. I got to go live my life.
That is
Right?
well said. I really, really like that. Now,
Yeah.
all you've mentioned a lot of things here. A lot of them are like mental. A lot of them are tactical, which is a great mix. These are all things you help people with, correct?
For sure. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And where should people go if they want help with this?
Absolutely. So we have a free community online. If you go to www.thecoachesplaza, that's coachesesplaza.com, you can come join the Coaches Plaza Facebook group for completely free. And every Tuesday, we do trainings that are primarily about attracting your dream client and having amazing, authentic conversations with them, and using education based marketing, including copywriting, to attract them and retain them and build an amazing expert based business.
That's perfect. And I will link that below. So, um, any final thoughts before I wrap up for all the coaches out there listening?
Hey, whether you consider yourself a coach, or you're more thinking of yourself as like a freelancer or a consultant, just remember the power of persuasion and being able to use your words to effectively convey to someone else. That is your powerful path to the next level. So whether you come and follow us in the Coaches Plaza or not, just remember that really there's very few skills that you could work on a daily basis. If you just took 15 minutes a day and worked on this skill, you will radically change your life.
That's a great point. Copywriting is so many different things, from sales on the phone to written word to
Yeah,
convincing friends to go somewhere. Well said.
exactly.
And especially running a coaching business. So, Amanda Kaufman, thank you very much. And again, that's the coachesplaza.com.